You're watching Leafs Morning Take with host Nick Alberga and former NHLer Jay Rosehill. The show starts now.
Jordan writes and got scared yesterday thinking these two beauties were done, but then they're back, baby. Woo. What's up, Rosie?
Hey. What a boy, Jordo. Yeah, dude, are we the only crew that keeps going through the summer or what? There's still lots happening as far as I'm concerned.
No, there's not. There's absolutely nothing happening. That's a good good intro to the show. There's absolutely nothing happening. Nothing.
They just canned like a dozen people, I think, since our last one, haven't they? I'm getting the days mixed up, but
yeah, they have.
We're
going to get Rosie's thoughts on that too, because Pagnotta was in on Friday. I want to mention as well, it's Jay Rosehill. I'm Nick Alberga. The latest edition of Leafs Morning Take, a presentation of Bet365. Download the app today. Must be 19 plus. Ontario only. Please play responsibly. What do you think of that last week? All those front office cuts, up to 14 people gone.
It was a lot. I don't know. I mean, I guess we shouldn't be surprised. It's clearly a new era. Now the only thing that remains the same is 3 players, maybe 4 players from the previous era that goes back through the Shanahan days, through the Sheldon Keefe days, the Berube days, Dubas days. The only thing left over is a couple of the core players. So it's interesting. It's exciting. I couldn't believe they cleaned that much house. I can't say I didn't laugh and wonder at the fact that like so many, the one that stood out to me was Mark Leach, right? He's only been there 2 years. Did such a phenomenal job in Dallas. I thought that he was someone that you clamor to try to get your hands on, not let go before he even gets a chance to sink his nails into anything. But it's clear they're clearing house. I can't say that I wasn't chuckling at the fact that so many accounts on Twitter were just like, how dare they fire Haley Wickenheiser? I'm like, what? Why her? Because she's a female? You can't fire her? Like, do you not want equality? She's there because she has a long history in the game of hockey. She's been there. We don't know what she has done and what she hasn't done. She's one of many. They're cleaning the entire house and people have to just single her out. It's like, you're not doing any favors to anyone. If females are going to keep getting hired into the sport that's traditionally male, they need to be equal. You think someone wants to hire a female going, do I have to hire her for 20 years? Am I allowed to fire her if it doesn't work out? If we want a clean house, can we move on? Or is she special? And I just chuckled because so many people were like, why on earth? Someone tell me why they fired Haley. It's like, there's a dozen people that got let go. She's no different. She's not better. She's not worse. She's one of them. She's equal. And that's how it should be. If you want to move into that, people that think they're doing, in this case, it's females, a favor and a service by saying, how dare you? You're not. You're hurting them. They should be the same as everyone else. And much like the other dozen people that got fired, Haley Wickenheiser was one of them. I don't see why anyone could act like she was supposed to be immune to it.
8 years for Wickenheiser with the Toronto Maple Leafs, and it really is unprecedented how much different this organization, not just the team on the ice, but everybody in general across the board looks from even this conversation a year ago at this time. And that's where the intrigue lies for me. And me and Dave talked about this on Friday. So now that you've cleaned house, all these different people out, like it really is, again, unprecedented is a perfect word, because when's the last time a team fired their GM, they fired their coach, they fired the coaching staff? Hell, Carlton the Bear, he better be hiding somewhere in Spain right now, because I think he could be on the chopping block at this point. Game ops, I'd love to see an overhaul of that moving forward. But the constants, as you know, Nylander, Matthews, Tavares, and last time I checked, Morgan Riley is still a Toronto Maple Leaf. How do you feel about all that?
I mean, I'm fine with it. After last season, there's a lot of buzz about like, move on, get rid of these guys and put them on the chopping block. And it's obviously easier said than done if that's what you want to do with no move contracts and all the rest of it. But inevitably, some people want change. Some people saw the last 10 years and say, we can't win with these guys. They don't have the heart. They don't have the character. They don't have the leadership. We've thrown that around on this show as well when we're frustrated and we see the lack of X, Y, and Z that you want to see. But at the end of the day, you don't just toss away players like that with their talent levels. I look at it as Willie and Austin right now, because inevitably, as John Tavares becomes a 3C in the future with the contract that he has, I don't think there's any reason to replacing him. But with the big dogs and your big guns and your leadership group and the guys, the core that have been there the longest, and your captain, it's everything has been changed except for them. And at the end of the day, they are the most important thing. They are the thing that leads to winning. And oftentimes the blame should and the accolades should come and go with just the players. They're continuing on with these guys. I'm all for it. I want to see what they can do. I'm really interested in what Austin Matthews can bring to the table this season. But inevitably, if it doesn't go well, and it's going to be hard because they're in the Atlantic Division, there'll be nowhere else to look but at those players.
But you understand where I'm coming from, right? Where last week I put out this tweet and people were firing back. They've changed 45% of the players on this roster. Dude, I feel like we have this conversation every summer. This is the year. Everything's on the line for Matthews and Nylander and Riley and Tavares, and they continue to run it back and run it back. And I comprehend a lot of these guys are going nowhere. They got full no trade clauses and all that protection stuff. But at some point in time, the accountability has to be on the players. Like, I truly believe like that's been lost in the shuffle of all the change with this organization, how piss poor that last season was. I think people like sort of lose sight. And I'm not defending Brad Treliving. I'm not defending Craig Berube. But man, a year ago, we're coming off the heels of going to 7 games with the Florida Panthers, nearly 2 rounds through 4 in the Stanley Cup playoffs. Now, all of a sudden, all these people sucked at their jobs, apparently.
Yeah, and I don't know. It's just this balancing act of close, not to use that word. We're close, but close, but not good enough. And if this season doesn't go well, I imagine the decor will get blamed this time, depending on how the goaltending plays. But I mean, it is no secret that Austin Matthews has not been himself. It's no secret that William Nylander has, had a level of disinterest. Everything's changed around them. So you can't say that with the abilities that you're able to make change in a cap era and in the National Hockey League, this organization hasn't done everything they possibly can to move things around the edges. I mean, they have moved the kitchen sink. The only thing left is a handful of players and the core leadership group. So I just don't know what to expect. I don't know where the blame's going to lie. This market, it's going to come flying from all angles if it doesn't go well. And it's a tough deal because you got the Buffaloes and the Montreals and who knows what Detroit's going to be like. But this division they're in is not easy, and everyone's saying this could be, should be, would be a playoff team, and it very well might be. And I hope to hell that it is. But who are you knocking off? Who are you putting out of the playoffs to get yourself in there, as they missed it last year? There's no way in hell. I would bet whatever you want the farm that they're not going to be as bad as last year. There's going to be more buy-in. There's going to be a better identity. There's going to be better character. It's going to be interesting to see what Jim Hiller wants to do with this group. They're going to be better. And if Bob wants to be any part of what Bob has been in the past, I mean, he could be a big part of it. Tanev wants to stay early. The decor could be not part of the conversation in a negative way. There's all kinds of things that can happen, but it's a lot of change. And yes, at the end of the day, it's the players who are playing. Like, you can have systems and you can have a scouting staff, but whoever the hell's putting their skates on the ice is responsible for the results of what happened in hockey games. And that's these guys that we talk about all the time. They happen to be big dogs. They happen to be big contracts. They happen to be drafted here, and they happen to have a history of being around. And so far, they have been unwilling to walk away from some of those guys, minus Mitch Marner, which wasn't really in their control. We'll see what happens. I don't know. I'm taking it time by time here. Matthews has got 2 years left on his deal. He threw a little bit of inkling on wishy-washiness about his future in Toronto. They made all the changes around him. I have no idea what William Nylander thinks about anything, but it's going to be up to them. And yeah, the blame and the success will lie with them.
Our Super Chat charity partner is Sick Kids. Want to make sure that your question or comment gets on the show? Hit us up with a Super Chat. Proceeds from our Super Chat will go to Sick Kids, ranked the #1 research-intensive children's hospital in Canada and 3rd in the world. So if Nylander and Austin Matthews, who's the most likely to bounce back? More to their reputation, more to what they've been in the past? 'Cause I think we both agree that was not the best version of Matthews or Nylander last season.
No, I don't think like Nylander was horrendous or anything. It's more
He got
Matthews to me.
points.
Yeah, he did. He put some points up for sure, and he's capable of doing that. But it's almost like he like half-heartedly showed up, it seems like, and still put up
True.
points. So it leads you to think, what if he just had 100% intense buy-in? Then what could that guy be? So, I mean, he could pop off, but it's Matthews to me, right? You saw what he's done. All the trophies, all the awards, all the accolades, all the numbers that he has put up, what he's capable of. He was really a shell of himself the last two seasons. It just He didn't have his pop, he didn't have his shot, he didn't have his finish. And those 2 seasons were under Craig Berube. One was a fairly successful season, one was a horrifically unsuccessful season. What is he going to be this year? I have no idea. I hope to hell he's healthy. I hope he's hungry, but he's a guy who could carry this team. And if the additions that they've made are a lot of depth guys, a lot of character guys, a lot of heavier bottom 6 type of guys, if this idea of this team and their identity wants to be a little bit more buy-in and a little bit more energetic and a little bit more character driven, and Austin Matthews can buy into that and have success under that and be the leader of that, the sky's the limit for him. We know that, but after watching the 2 seasons, I have no idea what to expect from him. I just hope it's a lot better than it has been in the past, or his stock's going to start dropping and people are going to start saying he's washed and he's not the player he used to be. And for a guy his age and his abilities, I think that's a sad thing. So I imagine him, as much as anyone else, is looking to pop off this season.
I think the one thing that really stood out from what you said there was just how important this season truly is for everybody involved, never mind Austin Matthews. And I think the big thing for me is, like, I'm so curious to see what the brand looks like from this Maple Leafs team. Like, they were really, really difficult to watch last year. And to your point, you bring up the fact that this guy had 69 rips under Sheldon Keefe and looked like 1/4 of the player under Craig Berube. I think we're going to find out really, really quickly if this is a Berube issue and Matthews subsided a bit and more attention to detail defensively, whatever way you want to phrase it. But I think we're going to find out really, really quickly if he's still got that game to be that perennial dog in the league goal scoring wise. And quite frankly, they need him to be that way if they're going to be successful this season.
No, for sure. He's supposed to be their best player, their captain, their leader. He's supposed to be the best player on the roster. And, you have off nights and whatnot, but collectively, as the season goes on, he should be that guy. And I think he expects to be that guy. I don't put a lot of stock into it's the Craig Berube thing that has held him back. No. The team was pretty successful the first year. I mean, they look damn good. We were talking about just rolling into the playoffs. The regular season doesn't matter. Win the Atlantic. I mean, what the hell? The Atlantic. What else do you want? There was every reason for him to be successful. He wasn't. Everyone's talking about his health, injuries. Then this season was just a debacle. So I don't know what to expect. Jim Hiller, I expect this to be a different looking vibe, a different feeling. He talks about spirit and everything else. It's going to be really interesting. There's a lot of change going on. The bodies will look different. The numbers on the back of the jerseys are a lot of new faces. Can Matthews play with, is he going to play with McKenna? What's Nyes going to look like? Does Roslovic play with them a bunch? Like, what kind of chemistry does he have with these players? Does Nylander end up playing with Matthews a bunch? And can they find some better chemistry that they should have with their IQ and their abilities? They should be able to hook up a lot more. It's going to be interesting, but at the end of the day, if this season doesn't go well and Austin Matthews doesn't look any better, I think that the noise is going to get pretty loud and the writing's going to be on the wall, potentially, as far as making some seismic changes to this thing and maybe a complete rebuild. That'll be up to those guys as well, with those types of decisions, a lot being in their hands, and a lot of players these days in the NHL. But no, it is a pivotal season. There's no doubt about it.
Welcome to the new Nation Gear. We've teamed up with Levelwear to bring you the next era of Nation apparel, starting with the off-season Social Club collection. This is gear built for everything that happens between the games, golf rounds, patio hangs, weekend trips, and whatever else the off-season brings. Premium, versatile, and made for fans who know being a sports fan isn't just a season, it's a lifestyle. The off-season Social Club is coming soon. Be the first to join, like, follow, and subscribe to the newsletter at nationgear.ca. And we're constantly looking for a pulse check, Rosie, in this market. One of the biggest super fans you'll find in Leafs Nation is AEW's Adam Copeland, WWE Hall of Famer as well. He's going to drop by here in about 15 minutes.
Yeah, we haven't touched base with the man himself in a while. Lots to talk about, lots of things to shine light on to see what his opinion is on them, going all the way back to Chaika hiring, Hiller, McKenna coming into town, all these new bodies they got in free agency, their cap space, everything and anything. So yeah, looking forward to that poll right now. I think it's a good time for it.
At the Leafs Nation 401 on YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. Leafs Pony Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Don't forget to check out theleafsnation.com. I want to talk chem with you. So that really resonated with everything you just said too. So a lot of turnover on the ice. You know, I got 15 billion tweets last week coming back to what I was saying about the nucleus being the same and the star players being the same. And it's Nick, they got 45% of a different roster when it comes to players. You're the former player. Give me that chem conversation. Is it good or bad that it's a shortened training camp and there's less preseason games to get together for an 84-game slate here?
I mean, from a player standpoint, who's there and who's thinking about way down the season and is very comfortable and locked in his position, I think they're going to like that. They feel like they got lots of time for a younger guy or a guy trying to crack the lineup or move up in the depth chart. It's not as good. Training camp, it just seems like it's probably going to fly by. And, you know, for a guy that really wants to open some eyes and make the decisions of the people in power really difficult and give himself multiple cracks to stand out, it's going to be quick, man. But on the other hand, sometimes those training camps and those preseason would drag out. I remember playing was there 7 exhibition games? And, you know, a guy like me would
you fight all 7?
6 of them. Yeah. I can't remember. A long time ago, Dangle tweeted some random stat about me fighting 5 times in 7 nights or something like that. It was just a whirlwind trying to make your case for hanging around, and whatever you think about that, it was what it was. That was what they needed. That's what they asked for, and that's what I wanted to show my willingness to do. But it was such a grind. It's going to be different for each person. But as far as all these new bodies being together and getting the chemistry, you don't really get the chem going in preseason. You got split squads and throwing these randoms in, and you're resting the veterans, and it's guys come up with phantom injuries. My groin's a little sore. I don't think I'm going to be heading to London to play. You know what I mean? So it's not it's not the time where chemistry really pops off. But this roster seems fairly complete. There's not a lot of spots for guys to come in and make their way. That's really what training camp is for in a lot of ways for those lower tier guys. It's going to be throughout the beginning of the season up to, you know, everyone marks American Thanksgiving on when you really know what's going on and whether you're in a playoff spot, blah, blah, blah. It's going to be the real season, which has got 84 games now, which is going to come at us a lot faster than we're used to. That's where you really make your hay, figure out who you are, get on the road, get some games under you, play some back-to-backs, do all the stuff that gets you ingrained into a season. And then we'll start to know if there is some chemistry and what these guys look like, get them some adversity, have them play with a lead and close out some games, have them come from behind and steal a couple games in the third period, do all those things that get the juices going. And we'll see what this team looks like. And obviously everyone in Leafs Nation is hoping that these guys got the right stuff, got the right formula. I'm hoping that those additions on the bottom 6, those depth guys, those Nick Pauls that I think are going to be more important than people think to really make those games that we've seen look shaky and rickety and lifeless become more of the good stuff.
4 total preseason games. It'll begin on Saturday, September 19th with a split squad games or a pair of games against the Montreal Canadiens. I could not care less about the preseason. I just want to see guys get their reps, be healthy and good to go. I think the biggest win we could try to draw from training camp in the fall, just show up with the roster that we're talking about today, man. It's been years in a row where we talk about this all summer long. It gets to game 1 and, you know, your number 1 goalie's missing or your star player is missing or an important piece is missing. I just want health, man. It's so vital for this team.
I know. And like, I don't want to get negative or put bad juju out there, but like, how many times, like you just said, have we been like ready to rock and roll? And it's like Matthews is missing in practice, or it could be Bobrovsky has some discomfort and left the ice or isn't present today, or take your pick on the guys. Chris Tanev, I mean, I'm just holding my breath. Apparently he's healthy and ready to rock, and he could play today. It's a great sign. How fragile is he? Can he play the back-to-backs? Is he going to be playing the same style that we're used to seeing him playing? I just want to see him healthy, and just it's the biggest thing that can be frustrating to derail a season. You could put all the pieces you want together. If they're not available to you, it's disastrous. So health will be a huge, huge thing, and I think the Leafs are due for a stroke of good luck in it. Also, like Max Domi, I don't know. It seems like with the signings and contracts that they have and where they are at the cap, there's no chance he's going to be involved at the start of the season. Is he? Do they know that? They said they'll make a decision at training camp, but it seems like the writing's on the wall. He's not going to be available. I'd love to know more about that. I feel sick for the guy to go through some off-season procedures and try to get better, and it absolutely derails you. It's just a sickening thing for a guy in his position. But again, hopefully we know more down the road. But health is going to be a huge issue, especially with the fact that we don't exactly have the youngest team in the whole world.
It's true. That's another really good point. But I think on Domi, like, we're not going to find out anything else, in my opinion, at least until the start of training camp when guys report. And it just reminds me of last year where I was there for camp for the first couple of days. And one day I see Joseph Woll. The next day I don't see him for 2 months. So again, fingers crossed for full health and full status and full, value for that, because I think it's just so imperative to have these guys available and present. So we'll see what happens in that front. But the schedule comes out later on this week. That's always a date we circle in July for sure. It comes out on Thursday. Again, 84 game slate. Any specific games you're looking forward to viewing just from a hockey fan perspective? Like, the big one that gets me is, it's still bizarre to me, and it won't really resonate or hit until I see him out there, but Sergei Bobrovsky returning to Sunrise. Like, I remember like it was yesterday. What was that deal he signed? Like 10 years, $80 million. And you look at how bad it started in Florida to where it ended. That's good news from Maple Leafs perspective. I know he's going to be 38 when the season starts, but that's the one that sticks out for me because I know how much of a legend Bobrovsky was in Sunrise.
Yeah, it'll be fun just to see him in a Leafs uniform in general. Obviously that game against the Panthers, it'll be interesting to watch him do that and to see him play against them, just to see what the Panthers look like in general now after they had kind of a similar stutter step or an off season, which was much more understandable for them after what they'd done the previous 3 years. Yeah. That'll be exciting. I'm excited to see Gavin McKenna play real hockey in the NHL. I have tempered expectations. We know this kid's a good player and he's going to be good. 18 years old, stepping into the NHL. It's going to be wild. I feel like McKenna's going to have his spots to shine where there's going to be a lot of oohs and ahs from the crowd. You're going to see his skill set. You're going to see his vision. He's going to do things that are phenomenal. But at the same time, there's going to be hiccups. There's going to be mistakes. There's going to be turnovers. There's going to be missed assignments. There's going to be D-zone, running around with your head cut off trying to get back into position. That's going to happen, and that's not a terrible thing. I hope nobody expects this kid to be lights out, lighting it up right off the bat. He's 18 years old, my God. And I hope that, that transition from junior through college and then inevitably into the NHL, I hope that serves him well as he's used to making that jump. It's going to be easier for him, I believe, than to go straight from the WHL where he came from. Now that he's had that bit of college experience, but just a massive jump regardless for a kid of his age. And I'm expecting a mixed bag with that, but hopefully he continues to get better as time goes on. Nyes, Easton Cowan, Willie, what's the whole back end? What's everyone look like, man? It's interesting. It's intriguing. Again, we hope for health, but there's a lot of guys that we hope are going to do things and come together, and hopefully everyone does it at the same time and it's collective and Hiller has them all on the same page and everyone buys in. I mean, that's the whole goal here. It's a reason we're going to watch.
I saw Nick Robertson settle today with Pittsburgh 2 times 3.25. Will he be running the anytime goal upon his return to Toronto? He's scoring in his return to Scotiabank, right? Guaranteed.
People do have a tendency to do that, don't they? But
Oh,
I know he'll be working his nuts
racing.
off. He'll be buzzing.
Yeah.
He'll be a little water bug. He'll finish his checks, and if he gets an opportunity, I'm sure he'll do his best to pull the trigger. But we'll see. It's not like it's the number one thing I'm looking forward to this season by any stretch. But I like the kid, I like his work ethic, and wish him the best in Pittsburgh.
How do you feel about the crease? So Dennis Hildeby spoke with hockeysfaria.se over the weekend just about the transition. Quiet dude, didn't speak very much. I remember being in some scrums with him last year. The guy was whispering. I don't know if he hung out with Nylander too much, but you could barely hear him speak. That's going to be another weird one because I'm bracing for the worst when Tampa comes to Toronto. John Cooper's putting Hildeby in there. I know Vasilevsky's one of the top goaltenders on the planet, but Hildeby's a guy who really took steps in the right direction. And I think it's so fascinating where the goaltending was 2 months ago. I wasn't sure I was expecting both Hildeby and Woll to be gone. Maybe one of those guys. I remember having these conversations a lot, man, leading into the offseason. What goalie do they trade? They traded two of their goalies, and maybe it's more of an indictment how they feel about Artur Akhtiamov too.
It's got to be that, right? I liked Hildeby. I thought he was put into some positions this season. I've said it before, where he had a pretty honest and understandable reason to falter, and he never did. I thought he looked solid. Huge body. When he's on his game, he's hard to beat. But you got to move on from some things. You can't just get rid of your garbage and get gold back. You have to. If you want to make moves, if you want to make change, if you want your team to look different, you have to move on from some pieces that have potential. I think his contract was hurting him at his age where he can't go on waivers. So are someone's going to pick him up if you just make him available on waivers for nothing. Then you lose him for nothing. Then everyone's on Chaika. Then he goes and has success and people rip on him. If you don't think he's going to be on your squad and you think you're going to run with those two, then you got to move on from him and try to get some assets back. And yes, the emergence of Akhtiamov down the stretch in the Calder Cup final, Calder Cup playoffs in general, I think solidified in the brain trust of the Maple Leafs minds that he is the kid that is coming up where if they need relief, an emergency goaltender, or somebody goes down, he can hold the fort. And that's unproven. That's a question mark, but the potential's there. And I think he looks as good as any real goalie prospect who's come up. Guy, again, just won the Calder Cup. There's only one guy that can say that. That's him. So it makes sense to me. I didn't expect it either, but it makes total sense to me. Now, the risk is health. Bobber, Stolarz. I mean, Bobber's been very durable. Knock on wood. Yep. Stolarz has not, but maybe things change here. Maybe he can hang. Maybe he can play 35 and give the rest to Bobber. And if something does happen, Akhtiamov, it'll be exciting to see if he can get in a Leafs uniform and see what he looks like at the NHL level.
Dude, that was the most fascinating aspect for me of the Calder Cup playoff run is like Hildeby gets sent down after the season or whatever it was, and you expect Hildeby to be the guy for the Marlies. And granted, that was the case for the first couple games of the run. And then Akhtiamov just caught fire and that was it. That was all for Dennis Hildeby. And he was just like a glorified backup in the American Hockey League. To what we were talking about, I don't think they envision Akhtiamov taking that step the way he did. And I think it also tells me they feel comfortable 84 games if something happens to Bobrovsky and Stolarz and or both. I think they have a lot of fire and a lot of belief in a guy like Artur Akhtiamov that even, if this guy is thrust into the saddle next year and has to play games, they're going to feel fine about it. But I think you got to make some tough decisions, and they truly have in between the pipes this summer.
Yeah, they did. And I was surprised to see Hildeby not be part of that run. That's the nature of the goaltending position, especially with a playoff run. If you get a guy that's hot and he doesn't do anything else, he doesn't change, he doesn't give you a reason, he's staying in. And the other guy's just sitting there. I've seen it before where it's like, you're going to have trouble getting back in unless this guy falters and stutter steps or has a couple of bad games and they're forced to make a change, especially when you got your juju going and there's a lot of momentum in a playoff run. It's hard to move on from a goalie. And again, they had no real reason. It's not like, you could 6 to 1, half a dozen the other on which one of these prospects you use. You would think Hildeby being there longer and having a little bit more experience in the NHL and whatnot would would have been the guy. But if Akhtiamov did what he did, you can see why Hildeby had to take a back seat to that, and he didn't falter. He went all the way and won the whole damn thing. So it is what it is. I didn't think much was made of Hildeby. Kind of got brushed under the carpet, but I noticed it right away. Hildeby holding up that Calder trophy was just like, yeah, fuck this, and put her down, and was completely unexcited about it. And you could tell that he didn't feel part of it, didn't feel like he deserved it, was not envisioning holding up that trophy as the backup, and feeling like you didn't really have much to do with the win, as he didn't play much at all in the Calder Cup playoffs. So it was what it was. And I don't know what was going on personally as far as his reaction to it, his attitude towards it. I don't know if what I saw while he lifted up the Calder trophy was indicative of how the rest of his attitude was, but he did not seem very excited, and that is what it is. And he's not here anymore, but I don't know. There could be some stuff behind the scenes there that we're not privy to. That's the nature of it, but he didn't seem very impressed. I'll tell you that.
Yeah, maybe that's the case, because some people in the chat were talking about that with Hildeby. I guess I must have missed those stories, and it's understandable when you think you're the guy and you're not the guy. It's tough to give way to an Artur Akhtiamov, who was a brilliant story here in this postseason run for the Marlies. At the Leafs Nation 4-1, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button as we bring in today's guest. It's been a while, honestly, as we bring in Adam Copeland, massive Leafs fan from AEW, WWE Hall of Famer as well. What's going on, Cope? How are you, bud?
How's it going, boys?
Good. Look at
it.
the belt behind me, buddy. Look at that. I gotta bring this up. The Brampton Braves, they play men's league baseball. I won the player of the game, and they gave me the belt. Look at that puppy.
Nice,
Oh,
nice.
shit.
Sadly,
Yeah.
it's that lousy new, belt design WWE's used for the last 10 years. But, we if we get a belt designer, maybe we can do it up a little better. But it's cool.
And you're the one guy to bring that up, because if I recall, you create your own belt back in the day? You've had plenty of different belts, no?
Man, I used to sit there as a kid in art class, and it was, I'd draw Kiss, goalies, wrestling belts, and wrestlers. It was essentially it.
That's unreal.
That's awesome.
Hey, yeah, it's been a while, as mentioned off the top. Why don't we start with your overall mood? More optimistic, more skeptical, somewhere in the middle? How you feeling?
I'm optimistic. I mean, I'm always optimistic, right? But I think there's a lot of reason for it. I mean, man, Jake has done everything. I mean, he came in and he's made changes. It's an overhaul from the coaching staff to the roster. I mean, it's big changes, and if you were going to do it, now seems like the time after last season. What was so confusing about last season is they went on that run where they beat the Avalanche and they looked like one of the top 5 teams in the league, and then I don't know what it was. Obviously, there was dynamics that we're not all privy to that were going on, but I think part of the amount of changes that the team has seen is a lot of it in response to the lack of team response to Matthews getting taken out. So if you want to keep Matthews around, maybe change the team a lot, the team that didn't come to help him.
Yeah, and you mentioned Chaika. Through that whole search, there was a million names thrown around. His wasn't really one of them until it was, and then it was a done deal. Surprising, shocking to a lot of people. Flat out pushback from some people. Outrage from some people. Now that you've had a chance to see what he's done, first of all, what was your initial reaction, and what is it now that you've had to see him cook a little bit?
So at first I was like, huh? Yeah, it just because it was out of left field, right? But I don't care. Like, if it's someone who thinks they can make these changes and is smart enough to have a presentation that they're going to make, a lot of these changes, okay, let's go. Let's see. I'm not one of those people that's going to knee jerk and say, oh, he's horrible, he's lousy, he owns Wendy's. Okay, so what? Like, and if you're talking about, any kind of issues with ownership, well, maybe that has something to do with the team that's defunct. I don't know, instead of the general manager. But my whole thing is give the guy a chance. Let's see what he can do. And then within about a week, it seemed like everybody had to chew on some humble pie because the guy's making changes and the guy's doing stuff. He's not just sitting back and going, okay, well, now I have the reins of the franchise in the NHL. Sorry, Montreal. And, I think it's great. A lot of the moves he's done. I mean, you pick up arguably the defensive pickup with Radish, and then you get Bobrovsky, and people can bitch and moan about that, but with a guy with that pedigree, and he's available, and he wants to come, and he wants to mentor Akiyamov, then yeah, you do it. And it's funny because I saw that clip of them talking at center ice. I was like, oh, we're gonna get Bobrovsky because he's gonna mentor this dude, and that means a couple of guys are going. I truly thought it would be Stolarz. I'm glad it wasn't though, because I really, really like the way Stolarz plays. I like the sandpaper he's got in his game. Like he'll punch in the face if he has to, and I like that. I think maybe he lost the locker room a little bit when he spoke up last year, but hopefully that's all under the bridge and gone. And it's a new team. Let's start afresh.
What's been the biggest surprise to you as a Leafs fan so far in the last couple months? Like, I'll go first. Jim Hiller, that hiring, and just monitoring that whole situation to waking up and what Jim Hiller's the head coach of the Leafs. What was it for you?
I think more than anything, that really just highlights there's so much conjecture. Nobody knows. Nobody knows. I mean, it was everybody at one point, and then Jim Hill. Well, okay, didn't see that coming. But if you think about it, he's got a history with the players. Clearly, they like him, or he's not the coach right now. And I love Berube. I really do. I just feel like maybe his systems didn't fit what this team is, and it felt like it was not warring factions, but like, we want to play this way, you want us to play this way. We're not as good playing that way. And I get it because a Berube system is great in the playoffs. But I just feel like everybody wasn't on the same page. And it could take a while for this incarnation of them to get on the same page, because it's, half a new roster.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of new faces coming in, and July 1 they added a bunch. Is there someone that you're specifically looking forward to seeing in a Leafs uniform come the fall?
Radish, but Paul, because I when I saw we grabbed him, I was like, ooh, I threw up a little bit in my mouth because he's the Leaf killer. But then I went, oh wait, now he can't kill us. Let's go. And I mean, that the way that guy plays like that, to me, is the kind of player that I think the bottom six, and I hate that term, but the 3 and 4 needs a guy like that. Roslovic, I think. So a lot of really almost under the radar pickups, because like Paul's been talked about, but like that dude's a winner. So I'm looking forward to that. I'd love to see Radish continue his streak of good seasons. It's going to be odd to see Bobrovsky in that jersey, but I liken it back to like Belfour and Cujo and guys like that coming in kind of near the tail end of their careers and added some oomph. And also what you got to include with Bobrovsky is that dude's work ethic. That stuff like that rubs off, and so soon, having come off of those Stanley Cup victories, it's got to do something for a locker room.
Definitely. And I think durability is a big word we've been using to talk about Sergei Bobrovsky. I think it was 5 straight seasons of 50-plus starts for him. As mentioned, we haven't talked to you in a while. Like, what did you make of Marner's epic run in the Stanley Cup playoffs?
Man, he got that one goal, and I just went, oh, man, he's going to win the Conn Smythe. He's going to do it. He's going to do it. And I'm also like, I like Marner. I think, I've never had issues with a guy, who's just trying to play hockey, whatever. You can get into all the, whatever else stuff that inside stuff we don't need to know about. Like, who cares? I just want to watch hockey, man. And that dude is really fun to watch play. That's what I boil my opinions down to. And he was a blast to watch in the playoffs. He really was. And I was kind of happy. I was happy for him to see him have that success. And it's not that he can't play in the playoffs. It's just, stuff happens. And clearly it was a better dynamic for him out there than it was in Toronto.
No question. And for the remaining core of this era of Maple Leafs, specifically Matthews and Nylander, do you look at this season as a pivotal season as far as their future, the future of the organization, and them being a part of it is concerned?
I think so, because Tavares to me he's always kind of been an outlier in that to me, because he just
Okay.
shows up, he scores his 30 goals, put him on the power play, get in front of the net, he's going to get his hands on it. And if he does, chances are it's going in the net. He's just so reliable and dependable, and such a team friendly salary and all of those things. So I think Tavares he should retire Leaf in my eyes. A big question mark is nice. What happens there? I don't see trading away a young power forward who plays like that, when that's one of the things that this team has really, really needed for years and now has it. Why trade it away? If anything, I'm going to say this until it happens: get Tom Wilson and put them on a line together. Oh, man. But I digress. I do think, these next couple of years are going to be very interesting, because if it doesn't happen, or if it doesn't get close, then I could see, short of McDavid coming over, I could see Matthews, hitching a ride out of town.
Definitely. Who's the biggest heel team for you in this league? Like, I can't look past the Florida Panthers and how many assholes they have on that team now, with Gudas, Brady
It's
Tkachuk,
worse
Hathaway
now.
adding to the mix already, right?
Yeah, it's got to be them, and I
Yeah.
mean, they revel in it too. They're the new
Yeah.
Oakland Raiders. They're the new, they're the new Flyers. Um, yeah, it's got to be the Panthers, man, and it's always going to be Boston. And I want to say Montreal, but I can't, man. They're just fun. What a fun team to watch, and what a great draft process they've had, and the way they've developed their players. Getting St. Louis as their coach, I mean, they really, really turned things around from what was it, the pandemic Stanley Cup Finals to now. Like, that's a quick
Mhm.
turnaround. Um, and yeah, I mean, they're going to be good for a while too.
They are, and it still kills me. I know it was the pandemic, a different era, but 3-1 in that series, and we all know, as you mentioned, they go on to play that cup final. I wanted to use this time to put over some young talent in wrestling, man. There's a lot of it right now, and the reason why I bring it up is Gavin McKenna. We're all looking forward to his NHL debut. I still can't believe the Leafs won the draft lottery, but who's the Gavin McKenna of wrestling right now, and how pumped are you about this kid making his debut as a Leaf here?
I'd say Gavin McKenna's probably like Will Ospreay.
I like that.
Yeah, young, and Osprey's been around, so that's the only kind of difference there. But I still look at him as such a young guy, and his ability to just do things athletically that when I think of some of the plays I've seen McKenna make, it reminds me of some of the insane flips or body control that Osprey has. Really intrigued to see him line up with Matthews, man. And I'm not putting Marner 2.0 on the kid. That's not fair. I think he's going to be his own thing. That being said, if he can be a setup guy for Matthews, man, we could see like a 70 goal season,
It would be
Depending on
special.
health. Depending on health.
Yeah, well, that's always a
exactly.
big thing. And, where it sits right now, obviously a lot of anticipation, a lot of opinions, a lot of question marks. But seeing what you've seen so far this offseason, what's your prediction for where this team finishes in the Atlantic?
So I think it will be better than last year. I do. And last year I thought maybe they eke into the playoffs. This year I think they have a definitive chance to get into the playoffs. And after that, who knows, man? It's like to see Carolina do what they did. I really wasn't expecting it, especially that kind of domination. So, man, and even then they needed Bussy to come in. There's just so many different variables and intangibles that can happen and go into this thing. Like, who knew Stahl was just gonna become Wolverine? And I guess he always is, but still, just I was so happy to see a guy like that get a spotlight for what he's still doing in his career. But yeah, I think they'll make the playoffs, and then again, who the hell knows after that?
That's exactly it. And Kobe, just to wrap, I know the internet
Vegas was going to sweep, or was it 4-1 against Colorado? I'd be like, come on,
Yeah.
Colorado's taking up this season.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's been unbelievable. It's unpredictable. There's no doubt about that. And predictions are so difficult to begin with. Never mind on July 14th. I know the internet's always fired up about your future. What do the next couple months look like for you? And I could safely say, when you're ready to call it in wrestling, man, Lee's podcast, maybe, who knows? You know your shit, dude.
I'm already thinking about the future. I'm like, okay, this is winding down. Now where do I go? Beth always, like, she's like, you got to do something with hockey. You have to, because like you love it more than anything else. But we'll see. If anything, I'm just gonna enjoy the heck out of it. But in terms of retirement, I don't know what I have left. It's not much. There's not much left. I know that. It's just a matter of, I guess, ideas. Like, okay, what do we have? Is it another year? Is it another year and a half? I really don't know. I really just have to sit down with Tony Khan and just see what he wants, and then see what I can pull off. It's really what it boils down to. Yeah.
Sounds good, buddy. Well, looking forward to see you out there again back in AEW. Great stuff. I always love catching up with you, and we'll talk soon, okay?
Good to see you guys.
Thanks, Cope.
You as well. One of our favorites, Adam Copeland from AEW. Dude, he knows his shit. That's what I love about him, man. He's a busy cat between filming, wrestling. He's on top of things. Like, he really, really is. I love that aspect.
Well, he's a real fan, right? We've had people on before, musicians and stuff, and they're like, yeah, like, I think that Matthews is pretty good, isn't he? And you're like, okay, you don't know. You can't really get into the detail, into the details of what's going on. But with him, I mean, it's like he's following along every single day. You can tell. So it's fun to have him on. Yeah, he's positive. I think, I don't know. We get labeled as negative all the time, but I often find myself being overly positive. Like, with the negativity on Twitter, I'm like he just said, everyone thought Colorado was going to win the cup. They get swept, or whatever the case is, the surprising things. We don't know what's going to happen. I choose to go on the positive side of things. Like, I think Matthews will have a bounce back. I think Bobrovsky's going to be good. I think Radish, especially with the people that are actually tempering their expectations as far as him not having to be like he did last year exactly, is going to be a good thing. I think McKenna will find a place. I choose to think and to hope that things fall into place. Obviously, there's injuries and there's guys having off and things don't work out, and nobody predicted last season to happen for the Toronto Maple Leafs. Is what it is, but I like that he's positive. Why wouldn't you be at a time like this? We don't know what's going to happen. There's been a lot of changes. They've been made for a reason. I choose to look positively on this until I have a reason to do otherwise.
In support of Sickets, 2 super chats, then we'll get out of here for this Tuesday. Again, we're with you 3 times this week: Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday. Butcher705, thank you for this super chat. It's funny that Chaika built a Tree Berube team. I wouldn't go that far, Butcher, but I see what you're saying. And then Gord writes in, Leafs were 7-19 versus the Atlantic. Can they improve? That's the biggest question you could probably ask right now pertaining to the standings. You got to be better against your division, especially with 84 games now.
Oh, it's heavy, man. Like, Buffalo, Montreal, these guys. I mean, you just got to
Florida,
hope
Tampa.
Yeah. Oh, obviously. I mean, they're the obvious ones who just never go away. And even with what Florida did last year, you got to think that it's part of the plan to build up and to rectify that, to get your breath, to get a rest, to get healthy, and then come in guns blazing. Now you just got to hope that Boston, obviously Ottawa, maybe Buffalo, someone's got to take a step back. But if not, it's going to be a war. And I don't know if the sights are set on the wild card spot. Can you get third in the Atlantic? It's going to be tough, man. But there is there's so much competition right now. And, it's not the first time we've talked about this where the Leafs just can't catch a break being in that Atlantic. You're always up against a monster. And now more than ever, it is the case with the emergence of Montreal and Buffalo and these teams who have traditionally, not really been part of the mix. Who knows what Detroit's going to be like if Larkin gets out of there? I don't know, but there's just so many monsters in there. Obviously, Florida, Boston, Tampa, monsters, and you got to be part of it, man. You got to go to war, and you got to rectify that record that was just mentioned against your division rivals.
It's now time for the last call, brought to you by Bet365. The worst thing about hockey season is that at some point every year it ends. There's a lot of time between now and the first puck drop of next season, which feels like an eternity for those of us used to nightly games. The good news is that Bet365 still has plenty of games, just none that require lacing up your skates. At Bet365 Casino, you can choose between hundreds of slots, live tables, and your favorite games. Must be 19 or older, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. If you or someone you know has concerns about gambling, visit ConnexOntario.ca. Terms and conditions apply. Rough week, I would say, for sports. I know we have the World Cup going on, but the Blue Jays not playing right now, and I think we're lucky to have that, but it's the All-Star break. I guess for my play today, Rosie, I'll look at the All-Star game, the National League slight favorites at minus 135. I'll play the National League on the money line here in the All-Star game.
Nice. I'm going to play the over. It's set at 7.5. I think these guys are going to be swinging for the fences. I don't know if those pitchers are going to be throwing their arms out, but I don't know if that's a good play or not, but I'm going to take it. Did you see that home run derby last night? That was pretty fun.
Yeah. I still miss the Swami. Chris Berman calling that thing, and I think it just gets repetitive, but I like that the juices are back with the home run derby. I know guys shy away from it because it sort of wrecks your swing, but I thought it was great theater last night.
I can't imagine their backs after. First round, I was like, oh God, they got another round and then another round in the semifinals, and you'd think you'd be sore as hell swinging that hard that many times for that long. I think it's damn risky, but it's fun that they get into it. Harper looked jacked up and determined and did FA out there. His teammate kind of stole the show. It was fun that it was in Philly and the guy had a chance to win. And I can't remember their names, dude, but I thought it was fun. It was worth watching, and I was tuned in, and it was exciting. So that's all you can ask out of one of those.
Yes, sir. And Rosie, as mentioned earlier on, the schedule comes out on Thursday, so that means good stuff for us, a countdown to look forward to when the season opener is for this Maple Leafs team. But we're back in the mix on the Wednesday edition. We talked about Jordan's comment off the top. 3 shows this week, now scaling down to 2 after this week, and so on and so forth. We go into the summer, and it's become quiet around the league. We saw Leo Carlsson, that offer sheet, get matched by the Anaheim Ducks as expected, but some pretty decent players still available free agency wise. So we'll see what happens later on this week, bud.
Patty Kane, I know, still floating around out there. I feel like he could be a fit. Deal? Nonetheless, we got time to get into it, man. But will be ready to rock tomorrow and Friday, and see if there's anything else to talk about. Never a dull moment.
There isn't. At the Leafs Nation 401, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button on the way out. Leafs Morning Take wherever you find your podcast. Make sure you leave us a 5-star review. Don't forget to check out theleafsnation.com. Once again, can't thank Adam Copeland enough for dropping by the podcast today. Thank you to producer Andy Zaid. For Jay Rosehill, I'm Nick Alberga, and we'll chat tomorrow. Take care, everybody. Make sure to check out more of our content right here on the Leafs Nation YouTube page. We got long-form interviews, we got clips, we got epic rants by Jay Rosehill. We simply have it all. And don't forget, you can find out much more at theleafsnation.com. Thanks so much for watching.